In this video, we will discuss about various risk reduction techniques and why the risk reduction techniques are required and what are the different methods to be followed to reduce the risk. So to know more about details about the risk, please watch the video till the end. So if you have watched my previous videos, there I have discussed about what risk is and how the risk is quantified. Also, we have discussed about how to identify the hazard and how to quantify the risk associated with the process. So, now you know the hazards, also know the risk associated with it in terms of the probability of occurrence and consequences. Now, when you know that this much risk you have, you want to either reduce the risk or you will try to accept the risk based on your risk appetite, right? So if you want to reduce the risk, how much risk you want to reduce and what are the different ways you want to reduce the risk, right? So to again reinforce this thing that it is not always necessary to reduce risk. You may have a process which are inherently safe, and if the risk is not so high, maybe the risk is that an hazardous event may occur in 1 out of 1000 years, and that is totally acceptable to you because maybe you are going to run that particular process for 4 years and 5 years, and if the risk is only once in 1000 years, it may be acceptable to you. And if it is acceptable to you, then you no need to take any action. You can simply go ahead with your process. But if your risk appetite is uh, not so low or not so high, then you may have to have another risk reduction technique. And how much you want to reduce the risk? So suppose you have a risk of 1 in 10 years and you want to reduce it to 1 in 100 years, then you have to reduce the risk by a factor of 1 by 10, right? Now comes the question. So now you know that you need to reduce the risk, and also you know how much you need to reduce. You need to reduce the risk and you need to reduce it by 1 by 10. These two things are now clear. Okay. Now the third question is how you want to going to reduce and what are the tools you are going to use in this process. So we all know that an incident occurs from an initiated event when a series of safety barriers actually fail. It follows always the Swiss cheese model. It is always to have multiple barriers to achieve your risk, right? So there will be multiple layers of protection to protect your system. So you want to go down from 1 by 10 to 1 by 100 risk, and you can achieve this by a single layer or you can have multiple layer to achieve the same, right? And so the reduction technique is first is risk graph. Well, you plot the risk graphs to calculate that how much risk you can eventually reduce. Another method is risk matrix, where you employ a matrix phenomena to reduce the risk. Third is layer of protection analysis, where we check how much protection each layer can provide. And fourth is fault tree analysis. So each of these processes will be discussed in detail in upcoming videos. I am providing link to them in the description. So please go through this and know the risk reduction techniques which are very important for any functional safety engineer. Thank you.